Good evening and welcome to our second episode of the season of On the Infield. Tonight we're going to bring you the first round of the Sam's Modified Sedan Series, and standing right next to me is Andy Hilly, who's organised this series. And Andy, this is a great thing for modified sedan racing in SA.
It is, Phil. This is probably the biggest rollout we've had for quite a few years. I think this time last year we had about 6 cars. I think tonight we've got about 19 from Queensland, Victoria, South East, South Australia, Mildura. I had some phone calls from Tasmania. Had one about half an hour ago from WA wanting to know what's going on. So for something that's homegrown, we've really created a bit of a monster, I think.
So was it basically the increase in competitive numbers was the reason why you really did this series?
Yeah, the numbers were dwindling a little bit, and the fact that we got the national title coming up at Easter, I saw it a good opportunity to invite interstate guys here, mainly so that we can get a judge of the equipment that they're running. And as you can see from Wayne Miles, the interview last week, it's extremely high, so we're going to have to lift the bar pretty much, but it's a good insight for the local guys to see what we're up against.
So basically you're also going to promote this as a bit of an SA versus interstate rivalry?
Definitely, yeah. It's a bit embarrassing. There's probably more Victorian drivers here than South Australian drivers tonight, but the camaraderie that we've developed is fantastic. The guys from Mildura, they're running their own series as well, and we're going to work in conjunction with them and support them, and vice versa, they're helping us here with their numbers. It's excellent.
Now, putting a new series together, was it hard trying to find some corporate backing to, because there was actually no product to really promote?
For an entrepreneur like me, it was nothing. No, it was 6 months worth of hard work. I mean, very hard work, but I had some excellent backing. People like Shane Bess and Kirsty Stone helped me out a lot, and the club was very instrumental in helping me because it was obviously promoting the club as well. So I had full backing from them. Everything I asked for, I got. When I approached some of the bigger people, I was a bit scared they wouldn't be interested, but they jumped at the chance.
Now, personally, you're promoting it, you've got the sponsorship, you're driving in the series as well. How do you think you're going to cope with all that?
Is it beer o'clock yet?
We haven't run the feature yet, so it mustn't be.
Yeah, after 10 laps, I'm looking for a beer.
Now, as I mentioned, this is round number 1. We've got 5-round series. Do you hope that the numbers will increase throughout the next 4 rounds after tonight? Yeah,
I'm confident. November 6 is our next big one, and I'm extremely confident we'll be looking 26, maybe 30 cars. Always at the beginning of the season, it's very hard to get numbers up. The off-season finishes very quickly, and people get caught out. And as you can see, there's still guys working on their cars now, getting them ready. So we've got another 5 weeks before the next series, and I know there's going to be a lot more guys coming out.
Well, as you mentioned, there's still a lot of activity going on here, so we'll let you go, and all the best for tonight's series, and of course all the best for you also driving. Should
be interesting. Yeah, thanks, Squiggy.
That was Andy Hilly, basically the organiser of tonight's Sam's Modified Sedan Series, which you'll be seeing exclusively tonight on the Infield. So the first round of the inaugural Sam's Modified Sedan Series now on the Speedway. Out of Kansas, Wayne Miles in the now Barker pilot, Terry Brown in the front row. As we go green to turn number 1 and 2, one of the cars getting very high indeed up there in the exit of turn number 2. In fact, a little bit of contact there from Terry Brown. And one of the cars there hitting the wall. It may have been the 21 of Buck Haynes. As we take a look at the replay, you'll see the black car on the second row drifts a little bit high. Then perhaps just taps the back of Terry Brown's machine and loops it around. And poor old Andy Hilly and also Tony Hardy had nowhere to go. So on the restart, Miles and Brown to lead them in once again on the second row. Jeremy McClure and the 31 of Tony Hardy as we're racing now into turn 1 and 2. On the top side of the racetrack, Terry Brown, who will lead them down the back straight away. Miles now trying to fight back in that beautiful BA model Falcon as they go through 3 and 4. Door handle to door handle for the race lead. Out of turn number 4, 1 lap down in the books, and it's still Miles and Brown are not giving an inch to each other as they go through 1 and 2. McClure now trying to come up the inside in car number 2, and a big move around the outside in car 49 is Brian Hayden having his first run in the modified sedan, so quite a few seasons. Drifts a little wide in turn number 4, drops about 2 or 3 car lengths as he goes through turn number 1 and 2. He's right on the back bump once again as they head down the back straightaway. Oh, Miles must have a problem. The car has slowed quite dramatically, and you can see it crabbing its way down through turns 3 and 4, so perhaps a right rear failure on the BA Falcon, and that'll probably put an end to the night for Wayne Miles, who's come all the way down from Queensland to contest tonight's event. And not a very good start for the interstater here in the Sam's Modified Sedan Series at Murray Bridge. But it's Terry Brown He continues to lead in car number 9. Then the battle between McClure and Hayden now starting to heat up very nicely for second and third on the racetrack. But still, the Mount Barker pilot, Terry Brown, has done quite a few laps around this Murray Bridge Speedway and has won quite a few feature races over the years. But it's still Brown, McClure and Hayden, and a big gap back to the 31 of Tony Hardy. As we put another lap down in the books, McClure drifts a little bit wide there now, allowing Hayden in the 49 to draw up alongside, but he'll sweep across the outside and continue to run second. McClure, in fact, McClure gets a bit of a push in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and Hayden, in fact, got the move as they came out of turn 4. So it's now Brown, followed by Hayden, and then McClure, as we see Buck Haynes pulling onto the infield in car 21. So he's out of this one as they go through the pit bend out of turn number 4. It's still Brown, Hayden and McClure in that order. Then it's Tony Hardy, Kevin Lyons and John Krieg rounding out the field here in heat number 1. Cars now relatively strung out for first, second and third. Not really too many competitions going on the racetrack. This one over 10 laps. Of course, we have a 25 lap feature coming up later on in the program, but first of all, we've got 4 10-lap heat races. This one is heat number 1. Our leader now approaching the last car on the racetrack, the 75 of John Krieg, about to go a lap down, but I don't think he'll make it. I think this one here is the last lap for Terry Brown and Brian Hayden and Jeremy McClure in that order as they come out of turn number 4. Checkered flag should be waving this time by for Terry Brown in car number 10. The last 10 laps, in fact the entire 10-lap journey run in 3 minutes, 0.3. 3 minutes, 0.3 for Terry Brown, Brian Hayden and Jeremy McClure. As we take a look there at the Sam's Modified Sedan pace car. This one should be a good one to keep an eye on. The 23 of Shane Best at the back of the field, a former Australian number 2. Also a former South Australian champion, but the current South Aussie champion also involved in this one, Martin Hawson, out of Mildura. So the entire lineup will be Tony McKenzie, Neil Watson out of Horsham in Victoria, Robert Uren, Matt McClure, David Smith, Bronte Perkins, Martin Hawson and Shane Best as we're about to go racing as they approach the stripe. We're green into turn number 1, and it's Tony McKenzie in car number 10 who will lead them. Neil Watson in the 3, starting in the second spot. 3 wide further back as Robert Uren gets swamped by McClure and also Martin Hawson. And Hawson now runs third on the racetrack after starting on the second to back row. So after 1 lap, it's entire field of Commodores up the front. We've got Tony McKenzie, then the 3 of Neil Watson, then it's Martin Hawson, then it's Matt McClure and Shane Best at the top 5, all Holden mounted. So it's McKenzie. Hawson now taking over second spot from Neil Watson. Watson looking like he may have a problem with the handling of that race car. It's got a big push, especially going down to turn number 1. But here comes the 23 of Shane Best up the inside of McClure. He'll try to dive up the inside of Neil Watson as well as they go through turn number 4. So Shane Best from the back of the bus now challenging for third as he goes through turn 1 and 2. Great pictures from our on the infield cameras here as they head down the back straight away. And Shane Best will take over third. And Hawson now looking at the race lead as he goes up the inside of Tony McKenzie. So Martin Hawson out of Mildura in the SA number 1 machine now runs in the number 1 position. Tony McKenzie out of the state southeast runs in the second spot. Neil Watson fighting back now to take back third over Shane Best. Then we've got Matt McClure in car number 7. And further back we have David Smith also from Mildura. So quite a few visiting drivers in this heat race number 2 of the Sam's Modified Sedan Series. Proudly being brought to you by Power FM as they go through turn number 3 and 4. It is still Martin Hawson, then it's Tony McKenzie, then the battling duo of Neil Watson and Shane Best as they go through turns 1 and 2. Best and Watson putting on a show here for the fans as they head down the back straight away. Side by side, no one wants to give an inch to either one of their competitors, but it's Shane Best now. He takes over third spot. He's won that private little battle between Neil Watson and McClure, just sitting back there in the 5th spot. But it's now Tony McKenzie taking it right up to Martin Hawson at the front of the field. It's Hawson, McKenzie, Best, Watson and McClure. In fact, McClure and Watson come together out of turn number 4. A little bit of panel rubbing, but that's modified sedan racing. As now McClure looks to the inside of Shane Best. So Best now coming under attack from Matt McClure, who's run 5th for most of this event. He now looks to the inside of Best, and McClure's looks like he may get the 3rd spot on the final lap here as they go through turn 1 and 2. He's pushed Best wide out of turn number 2, and McClure will now take over that 3rd spot, but the checkered flag will be out this time for Martin Hawson. Then it's Tony McKenzie in the 2nd spot. Then Matt McClure, Shane Best, Neil Watson and Robert Uren, the last of the finishers in car 94. Heat number 3 now on the racetrack for the Sam's Modified Sedan Series. Of course, Sam's standing for South Australian Modified Speedway Sedan Series. And once again, we have a 10-lapper here, heat race number 3 on the racetrack. We should see Shane Best on the front row, Tony Hardy, Buck Haynes, Matt McClure, Terry Brown, Robert Duran, Tony McKenzie and John Creed. And we're racing into turn number 1, and it's Shane Best who will take over the race lead through turn 1 and 2. Have a look at the battles further back. 3 wide on a couple of occasions there as Tony McKenzie and also Matt McClure forced their way through. But it's Shane Best who leads in car number 23. The former Australian number 2 doing a very nice job here this evening. Of course, got shuffled back in the pack in his earlier heat race, finishing 4th, but he's looking to make amends here in heat number 3. The battle between McClure and McKenzie raging on for 3rd and 4th as Terry Brown continues to run the 2nd spot. Won an earlier heat race, so he's in contention for a very good start in tonight's 25-lap feature event. Of course, each driver only getting 2 heat races to score as many points as they can in preparation for the Dave Wilson Memorial Modified Sedan feature. In fact, as I speak, we've lost Terry Brown onto the infield, so Brown is out of it after running a very competitive 2nd spot. This now elevates Matt McClure and also Tony McKenzie up into 2nd and 3rd. But of course, it's still Shane Best in car 23 who leads. Then it's Matt McClure in the 2nd spot and Tony McKenzie in the 3rd spot. But have a look at the lead that Shane Best has already opened up as he puts a lap down on the Barmera driver, Buck Haynes, as they go through turn number 3 and 4 past the VIP area. The sponsors and officials in the VIP area would be having a great view of the modified sedan action tonight from their turn 4 vantage point. But it's still Shane Best who continues to lead a long way back to Matt McClure and Tony McKenzie. Those two battling it out for 2nd and 3rd respectively on the speedway. Then we go back to Robert Uren, Tony Hardy and Buck Haynes, the only other runners on the speedway as we speak. But forget about Shane Best, he is absolutely bolted here in heat number 3. The real emphasis is for 2nd and 3rd, although Matt McClure now starting to stretch his legs and run away from Tony McKenzie in the 2nd spot. So perhaps where the drivers currently run is where they'll finish as they come out of turn number 4. Shane Best is putting on a clinic here in heat number 3 of the Sam's Modified Sedan Series as they head down the back straightaway. You're looking at one of Australia's best modified sedan pilots in action as he comes out of turn number 4 after putting a lap down on Buck Haynes. The checkered flag is out for Shane Best. 2nd to Matt McClure, 3rd to Tony McKenzie in a new track record time of 2 minutes 39.1. That just shows how quickly Shane Best was motoring around this 360-metre venue, a new 10-lap track record. Heat number 4 now of the Sam's Modified Sedan Series, the final heat race of the evening before our 25-lap A main event. We've got Martin Hawson, Andy Healy, Kevin Lyons, Brian Hayden, Neil Watson, Jeremy McClure and Wayne Miles. In fact, Miles a non-starter here in heat number 4 of the Modified Sedans. Hawson and Healy to lead them in. Out of turn number 4, the RPM's increase and we're racing. as the green flag is waved, and Brian Hayden immediately to the top side of the speedway, and he'll now run in second spot, but it's Martin Hawson who now leads. Of course, Hawson already has a heat race victory tonight, so if he can take this one now, he'll have the perfect score of 2 from 2, and he'll definitely start from the front row of tonight's feature event. But Brian Hayden will do everything he can to deny Hawson of maximum points here in heat number 4. Third spot is the number 3 of Neil Watson. Then we go back to the number 2 of Jeremy McClure. They're the top 4 on the racetrack at the moment. So we have a Victorian leading a South Aussie, and then 2 further Victorians. So the South Australians really getting beaten soundly here in heat number 4. Hayden, the only South Aussie really stepping to the fore here in heat race number 4. But it's still Martin Hawson, then it's Brian Hayden. And in behind him is Neil Watson out of Horsham as they come out of turn number 4. Great camera work there on our race leader of Martin Hawson. But it's Brian Hayden coming under some intense pressure now from the 3 of Neil Watson. Then it's McClure in car number 2. See a little bit of smoke now coming from the back of the 49 machine. So perhaps Hayden's got a tyre rubbing or has some sort of little mechanical failure with the number 49, but it's not really impeding the speed at the moment as he continues to run in second spot. As McClure now takes over third as he goes past Neil Watson on the exit of turn number 2. And now McClure looking at the back of the 49 of Hayden as they go through turn number 2. You can see that smoke coming from the left rear of the 49. But our race leader is still Martin Hawson in car number 1. He's starting to run away with it here. He's opened up a race-winning lead in car number 1. He'll need a caution, or the rest of the field will need a caution in order to catch him as they exit turn number 2. A little bit of fender rubbing there between Hayden and McClure as McClure now dives to the inside. Has he got the momentum to go past Hayden in the exit of turn number 4? He's got him. So the number 2 machine of McClure now runs in the second spot. Hayden relegated back to third. And it's still Neil Watson in car number 3 rounding out the top 4. But Martin Hawson has really gapped him here in the final modified sedan heat of the evening. 1 lap remaining for Martin Hawson in car number 1. As our leader comes out of turn number 4, our race leader will now become race winner. Heat race number 4 will go to Martin Hawson. Second will go to Jeremy McClure. Third to Brian Hayden, Neil Watson, Kevin Lyons and Andy Healy will round out the field in the final preliminary heat of the evening.